Good afternoon and welcome back to AIEC Webinar Weeks. Excited you're joining us this afternoon. This will be our last webinar for today, and then we'll take a break. Next week we will not have one on Tuesday, and then we will resume our final 4 AIEC Webinar Weeks on the 30th, so stay tuned for that. Up today we're going to be talking about our compliance calendar product that's provided to us through, and I know I'm gonna get this wrong, so it's Velocity. That's right, Velocity EHS. So looking forward to hearing from Velocity EHS on that today. Today's webinar will last, I'm guessing, probably about somewhere 40 minutes, and we'll leave a little bit of time at the end for questions. That sound good, Don?
No, yeah, that'll be perfect.
All right, so Brian, I'll let you introduce Don, and we'll just go from there. How's that?
Yeah, perfect. Our presenter today is Donald Smuskowitz. He's the account manager for Illinois and Missouri with 5 years of experience handling SDS management system and dealing with the compliance calendar. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Donald.
Awesome, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. As you heard, I am going to talk through the compliance calendar a little bit. I know that there's some people probably here who already use it, some people who don't. So I do just want to go through that. And you did say, is it Matt that's on the line with us that handles safety? Apologies.
That's correct. We have Matt Eisenmeger's on the line with us. He's doing a little bit of traveling today, but I asked him to just come on and join us. Matt would be one of a couple people here that utilize the AIEC's compliance calendar. Now, Matt doesn't necessarily work with our membership as it pertains to their particular compliance calendars, but he can definitely give an inside perspective.
Awesome, and yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure. Matt does have a little bit of that insider perspective because I know the ins and outs of the system, but I unfortunately am not super well versed on what regulations and external policies you guys are running into. So if you have any questions like that, I believe Matt will be the one who can help a little more there. But let's get you guys kind of a look at the system and kind of go through how that can help. I want to make sure, let me know when you are able to see my screen here. It's going to be pretty bare, but it's going to say personal dashboard on there.
We got it, Donald. It's up and running.
Awesome. So I took a lot of the stuff out of there because you guys currently just have the compliance management, compliance calendar. There's a ton of other stuff, but I didn't want to muddy the waters with that. I wanted to keep it as simple as possible here. So real quick, kind of just to show what you guys are working with, you have this right here, this compliance section with the external regulation, the internal policy, the permit, and the action item. Now, the best way to look at these, the external regulation and the permit are going to be kind of connected in, those are going to be a little bit outside of your specific co-ops. Those are going to be things that come down from like OSHA or the EPA or things like that. Internal policy and action items are going to be linked a little bit more in the fact that an internal policy could be like a drug testing policy or a, any other kind of testing policy that goes along with that. Something that's just mandated internally and not by, an outside group or governing body. So we'll start out with just the external regulation. And I am in the add new section here. So we're starting out fresh. There is the ability to, and we will jump to that, to actually look at your policies in the compliance calendar as we've kind of alluded to. But this is how you would get a regulation in to start with. So you would title that, give a description. This is kind of the who, what, when, where of that regulation, what it pertains to, what agency it's coming down from, what the description and a link to it, and then your applicable location, so your specific co-op, and then your when. So that's how you put that in there, and then you add that in through these add a permit. A lot of times the external regulations do come with some sort of permit, so you want to make sure you have that information in there as well. If you do just want to put a permit, it's the exact same. However, you're just putting in that permit, but you can include some of the costs, the application status, and things along that line. Now, let's jump back here. once that information is inputted, that's going to be housed within your compliance calendar. We come over to monitor here, and this is where we can actually view our regulations. Now, I apologize. This is a test account that comes through a lot of different regulations because it's with all of my colleagues and all of our test accounts. So right here would be your specific ones for your location. You always want to make sure that you filter down by your location so you're not, getting stuck looking at other people's. It's the same way as the HQ. You'll break it down by your location. Once you find what you're looking for, let's just use, let's use this tier 2 EPCRA one. Here's all of your information on there. Obviously, you can attach anything that's necessary, but we want to make sure from here you're actually able to add your permit, and then you can go through and you add your action items. So if for that permit you need to do anything, you can add the action items right from there. Save and exit if you're not able to get all the information you need in there, or if it's something you're no longer doing, you can make active or delete. So you have that ability right from there to view that regulation and pull that all up, as well as still going to be able to add any permits when necessary. Now I want to pull up the action items because here's where you can get your compliance calendar. So your action item, I have mine in month, or is this week or month? I have it in week view right now. Now we're in month view. So this will tell you exactly what permits are due to, either what permits are active, what permits are up for needing to be renewed or anything like that, what action items that go along with those external regulations that are coming down from OSHA, the EPA, whoever it be, what needs to be done with those or for those in an easy to use calendar format. Like I said, you're always going to want to pull up your location, and then you can also break it down by things like, what's open, what's closed, what's still being worked on, the due dates, and the people responsible. And so that would be your compliance calendar for your external regulations. Real quickly, I know we went over quite a bit there. I do want to just open it up. Are there any questions, or do we want to hold off on questions?
I would just remind our listeners today, if you have any questions, please submit those through the chat function. Direct those to AIEC, and Brian and myself will moderate those to you, Dawn, okay?
Okay, perfect. And were there any questions in the chat currently?
No questions at this time.
Awesome. Yeah, pretty straightforward stuff. And that's where Matt can help out. I'm not, privy to what specific regulations, external regulations are being put on the co-ops. So that's where, someone who has a little bit more, is more well-versed in that can help. But the system's going to make sure that any regulations you have, you're staying up to date on them. You're staying ahead of the game with them versus, being kind of reactive to when they need to be updated, or are they still active? Are we covered? This is going to help you just get on top of that, and then make sure you stay, in front of any renewals or anything like that.
Real quick, Don, do have one question that came in. Are you able
Awesome.
to show us how to select our specific location on the compliance calendar?
Yeah, let's jump back here. So this is your compliance calendar, or are you talking from, the list view? They're talking calendar, if I heard correctly, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, perfect. So from the compliance calendar here, this is going to be just for the location of the person accessing it. So like I said, where you inputted so from the add new, the external regulation, when you put that location in, it's going to attach to your location. So then when you access this, it's going to be for the location that you accessed only. So you don't need to change anything. This is going to be based off what external regulations you put in. Keeps it super simple for you. So when you do the location, you just put the location in when you're inputting your external regulation. And then you don't have to worry about it on your compliance calendar end.
Thank you, Don.
Perfect. Great question though. So yeah, it's really tied to getting it in here and I showed when you put in that location and what agency. So this is where you put in your locations. Obviously mine is set up completely different, but yours would have your locations in there. So let's jump home here. And now actually let's go add new. We want to do internal policy. So like I said, this isn't like the external. This is going to be things that are something that you want to keep on your side, but aren't coming down from OSHA, EPA, anything like that. So like I said, if you have a safety policy or you have, a drug testing policy or a hours of work policy, anything like that, you can put that in, reference if you have a link to like an internal area where that's written, what location, what the dates are for that. So if you want to make sure everybody has done your safety training by a certain date, that's where you would put that in. And then you add your action. Your action item is going to be, kind of along the lines of, what needs to be done. So, go in for drug test or go in for safety training. Those are just some of the most typical ones that we see. Obviously, they can be, anything that you want within there. So you put your location, your scheduling, your due dates, who's responsible, anything like that. Any attachments you may have, if there's a page that you need to bring or anything like that, you can bring that in. And then you submit it. Oops. You click submit there, and that's going to input that action item. Now, same way with the compliance calendar, your action items will be there as long as you put the correct location. So if you put your co-op, it'll pull up that location on your compliance calendar. And so these are just internal, but then it'll give you, it'll shoot you emails when necessary for, hey, you have a week until this safety training is done or until this needs to be done. And then that way you can stay up on making sure everybody has, got that safety training done or got that test done or whatever that would be. So same view from the compliance calendar under action items. That's where you're going to pull up that information. And I know we discussed this a little bit earlier, but unlike the HQ account, there's not as many bells and whistles going on here. It's a little simpler. I really want to open up the floor for questions or if anybody has, anything they would like me to go back through, but that is, what you have with the compliance calendar there. Are there any questions in the chat?
No question at this time, Don. I do think we have some of our membership on the line that really are not familiar with this product and are not using it. So anything you can cover to really kind of give us a holistic view of the product and what it does might be helpful.
Yeah, and I was hoping, so I'm not sure if you guys have a way I can get like a sell sheet kind of thing to you that gives like a very high level overview, but I can kind of walk through it as best I can. But really what this is going to do, it's for the managing of either external regulations or internal policies. So it's for staying ahead and making sure that you're always in compliance with those. You're not falling out of whatever your compliance timeline is. So if the permit is good for 1 year for like air emissions and things like that, you have a permit for 1 year. You're making sure that there's something telling you, hey, you need to be updating this, in a timely manner. It'll send out the emails. The internal policy one is more focused on, you have a lot of things going on. So instead of you having to remember all the internal policies that need to be done, this will give you a reminder. Also let you see a calendar view. So like we said, if you're like looking, what do I have to do this month? Perfect. By the end of the 15th, I have to have everybody finished with the safety training. So it's a holistic view of what needs to be in compliance with the system itself.
Yeah, thanks for that, Don. And I'm going to I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, you know, when Courtney brought this product to our attention and to our membership's attention, I can only imagine that she was looking to implement this to complement our RESAP program. And so that's where I might ask Matt to kind of jump in and say, you know, what are some of those items that would be a good fit to put in the compliance calendar that's going to help out with the RESAP program?
All right, Dan, thanks. Sorry, I am driving. Yeah, Courtney was just getting started with this, and what we were using it for, just the keeping track of, you know, when's your SPCC due? When is fire extinguishers? Are you doing those on a monthly basis? And the system will let you delegate people to where they're actually doing it, logging into the system, checking off that they've done it and it's done, and then you have documentation. My question is, as far as for Don, as far as safety training, can you attach like safety documents or PowerPoints or things like that to that when you're completed, so you have a documentation of what was taught? Is that possible, or is that another program?
So that's another section of the program with the actual training. This is more staying on top of internal policies of like, you know, I want to make sure everybody has been trained on the fire escape plan by this date. That's all that this side is doing. It doesn't, so you could always attach, like if you had like a one-sheeter on that training, just so you could look back and see exactly what they were doing, but it doesn't have a spot to like input PowerPoints or where like you could send it out. It's more just for making sure that you're staying in front of that and it's getting done in a timely manner. Like you said with, I believe you said the SPIC, stuff, it's kind of the same thing, making sure you're staying in front of it and it's being done when necessary.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't know if there was a way to attach like an actual training sheet or anything to it to say, yes, we covered this topic, here's what we covered, but that's a different section. But as far as keeping track of all that stuff, that's why I was so interested in it, is because some things are 3 years, some things are 5. People are on different rotations, whether it's herbicide training and license for that. It's just a way to keep everything together in the system. Once you're got everything inputted, it lets you know that, hey, this person's due for that. And you don't have somebody trying to keep track of all that stuff, which sometimes can be a nightmare.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. And that's what I, you know, that's why I think it made a lot of sense to have yourself on there is, you know, the specifics of what you guys are running into with these regulations. I'm not super privy to, but it handles all of that just like he said. Keeps you in front of them, lets you know when, you know, things that are on a 3 or 5 year rotation versus things that have to be done yearly. You input that all in the system, and then instead of having to worry about it, you know, and staying in front of it, it'll tell you exactly when you need to get that done. And, you know, who you know, like you said, you can delegate it to somebody else. They'll also get the email saying, you know, you were delegated this role, you need to do this from there, you know, whatever your action item is. So yeah, it's for staying in front of internal and external regulations and then viewing that calendar of what needs to be done that week, month, whatever it be there. Were there any other questions in the chat?
No other questions at this time.
Awesome. And just like with the previous one, if there's any questions, you know, feel free to send them my way. I will be working with Brenda a little bit on this because it is a little bit more in depth on the back end. I'll be working with her to make sure she's all caught up on everything now. But yeah, really just simple way to stay ahead, you know, keep your head above water when it comes to, you know, all the different regulations and yearly things you need to do. If there is any questions, feel free. I can give my email. Actually, I can throw that in the chat. So you have the email. Let me know if there's any questions. Otherwise, I can throw it back to you guys. That's all I had on this side today because I really just want to show the compliance calendar, and I can send out that one-sheeter as well, just to give that more high-level look for everybody.
Yeah, we don't have any further questions at this time. Thanks for putting your contact information out there, Donald. We appreciate that. The only thing I would say to our listeners today is, you know, if you guys are already using this product, and you were working with Courtney in the past, and you still need assistance with that, feel free to reach out to myself or Brian, and we'll work with Brenda to make sure that everyone's caught up to speed. If you're a listener today and this is something that you're interested in, bear with us a little bit. We're kind of reappropriating duties as we onboard a new employee. And if you have any questions, you know, I'm sure Don can answer those for you as far as the product goes. And then we will follow up with, you know, how to integrate you as a member into the system as we move forward with things. So definitely express your interest if this is something that you're looking at, and we'd be happy to move forward with you on that. Amber, did you have anything you wanted to add? I know this is something that was kind of handed over and.
No, I don't have any, really anything I really want to add. I will say I do believe Courtney and Matt, the AIEC, is using it for the regulations and just compliance, just to make sure that, you know, the fire extinguishers are being checked monthly. The first aid kits are being checked, you know, just some of those tasks that get marked off in RESAP that we miss and forget to do. Those are all being organized now in this compliance calendar. And I know Courtney was doing a great job at keeping it updated along with Matt. And I know Jim Pauly also had a big role in just keeping this updated. So. Yeah,
I know when, you know, I've looked at our RESAP inspections here at EAEC, and I would consider us significantly simpler than an electric cooperative, a distribution cooperative, or GNT, because, you know, they got all those OSHA requirements, and a product like this is really going to help you stay on task as far as making sure those compliance items are checked off throughout the year, so that when we come in and, you know, now Brenda will be doing those RESAP inspections, and so we've got a good record of everything that was completed. Mm-hmm. And you got, if I understand right, Don, there's automated reminders that go out to the appropriate personnel that are responsible for each compliance item. So they're getting reminded on a regular basis of when those specific tasks need to be completed.
Yep. So you can actually have a person who's responsible and then a delegated person as well. So, you know, obviously the main responsible person is probably going to be, you know, the one that needs to really make sure, but the delegated person there as well will get the updates in the email saying, you know, this fire extinguisher check needs to be done, or whatever that be.
Sounds good. Well, hey, Don, we appreciate the update on this today. Definitely hope to get back in touch with you if we learn that we have additional membership interested in this product. I can't imagine someone not being interested in keeping track of the regulatory requirements. Maybe they already have a good system in place. I don't know. So I'm sure you'll be hearing from us in the future.
Yep, sounds great.
Hey, I want to thank everyone for your time today. Again, quick reminder here, our next webinar series will not be until the 30th of this month. We're going to take a week break. We'll be back on the 30th with the final 4 webinars in this series. Just want to put a quick plug out there for Paul Dow. Paul Dow is our videographer here at AIEC. He's going to be giving a really good webinar on, you know, what are your options for a hybrid annual meeting? You know, what different things can you do? You know, if you're looking at that type of an annual meeting where you're going to have some in person and maybe some attending remotely, how do you address that? So Paul's going to be covering that with us. And then we also have Chris Reynolds from Energize Graphics. Chris is our manager of Energize Graphics, and he's going to be covering some different things with website design on how you can use some of the tools that AAEC provides to really enhance your website and increase the value of that site. So look forward to those. And with that, that ends today's webinar series. So thank you all for attending, and don't forget to fill out the survey that Ashley's going to be sending out after the conclusion of our series. If you've attended and you've filled out and completed that survey and turned it back in, that will make you eligible for a grand prize drawing of a $100 Amazon gift card. So make sure you get those surveys filled out. Again, thank you all. Dawn, thanks again. It was great hearing from you.
Thanks, Don.
Yep. Thank you very much, everybody.